That has become of Saturday Night Live somehow managed to get worse this past weekend after the entire country watched in horror last week as three lunatics who run our country's most prestigious universities simply could not bring themselves to unequivocally condemn anti-Semitism on their campuses. SNL decided to side with the lunatics and open their show on Saturday by mocking Elise Stefanik, the Republican congresswoman. And it would have been one thing if Saturday Night Live managed to do this in a way that was somehow funny or entertaining to anyone at all, but the skit was a complete abysmal disaster. It was the cold open of the show. Nobody laughed. It was a bomb, and it was another humiliation for a show that's been humiliating itself for years. Take a look. We clipped some of it for you.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, I know. It's calling for the genocide of Jews against the code of conduct for Harvard.
Well, it depends on the context.
She doesn't sound like that.
What? So, you pen lady, would you say that you are
This show just sucks.
anti-Semitic?
Yeah, it's not funny anymore.
I'm sorry, can you tell me how many antis that was?
It really hasn't been funny in a long
So the college presidents are the good guys, and Elise Stefanik and everyone else in the country are the bad guys.
Yeah,
That's SNL's take, and yes, that is how easy it is to get a comedy show on NBC, apparently. That's how unfunny you can be and still be on the SNL cast, because there's no talent left. That aired just hours after UPenn President Liz McGill resigned in disgrace on Saturday, by the way. Minutes after she stepped down, the chairman of UPenn's Board of Trustees also resigned as more university donors threatened to close their checkbooks. Billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, far from a right-wing conservative, has been at the helm of this assault on the wackos who are controlling the rot that's become of our higher education, specifically MIT, Harvard, and Penn. Today he called for the firing of another, tweeting, "If you promptly terminate President Kornbluth, I promise I won't write you a letter," he said to MIT. The pressure is on now to oust Harvard's president, Claudine.
Listen to this, listen to this.
University hire who's only been on the job for 6 months. Today, Harvard's board convened to discuss her fate.
Listen.
A report that she plagiarized her PhD dissertation. Not really surprising. Documents obtained by the City Journal reveal she lifted an entire paragraph, nearly verbatim, from Lawrence Bobo and Franklin Gilliam's paper, Race, Sociopolitical Participation.
Unbelievable.
She also appeared to lift material from Carol Swain's book, Black Faces, Black Interests, without providing a citation. Chris Brunette exposed all of this in a fantastic piece, along with Chris Rufo. Brunette is the contributing editor of The American Conservative. He joins us now, along with journalist Rick Leventhal. And to you both, thank you for coming on. Chris, I know we have you, you're backpacking and you're a long way from the United States. We appreciate you coming on and just taking a minute with us and jumping outside underneath the light there. We do appreciate that. Just tell us a little bit about what you found when you dug into the president of Harvard University, Harvard College.
Right, so first of all, I'd like to give credit to my anonymous source. Like, that's where I got the story from. That's where I get a lot of my stories from, is people who email me documents.
Yeah.
And this document was about 20 examples of plagiarism from Claudine Gay. Some of them were verbatim plagiarism, some of them were patchwork or mosaic plagiarism. And some of them are worse than others, but some of them are really bad. And that's unacceptable for a Harvard president. Like, it's just terrible scholarship.
Is it wild to you that
Wow.
the fact that this is a woman running Harvard and she should be thrown out of the college for the way that she's behaved and how she managed to get this job? And just speak to that.
It's a diversity hire.
Yeah, probably, because of her
this is what they're
color,
trying to impose,
really
this kind of
gross.
DEI all over these campuses. And now you have
So
somebody who is a
easy to get
complete
hired,
fraud
right,
running a college, and she proved why that's so dangerous last week.
Right, well, she was inaugurated as president a little over 100 days ago, and
She's the Pete Buttigieg of
scandal
Harvard.
after scandal after scandal. In
Well,
fact, her whole career has been scandal after scandal. I've written extensively about it, from bullying scandals. She bullies people.
Because he was definitely
She
a
sweeps
diversity
other people's
hire.
corruption under the rug.
Kick the box.
She does a lot of dirty work
He's
at
a gay
Harvard.
male.
And on top of that, her record as a scholar is kind of crappy. Like, she's only published 10 papers in her entire career. And to put that in perspective, Larry Summers, who was president a couple of presidencies before her, he published 19 in 1 year, which is double her entire career output.
That's amazing. Well, Chris, we appreciate you coming on and sharing some of that story. Great reporting, and we thank you so much. We'll let you jump back inside, but good to see you. We'll go into some analysis now with Rick Leventhal. Rick, good to have you on. More than 600 Harvard faculty members have signed a letter supporting Claudine Gay, calling the attacks on her political. In the letter they write, "We urge you in the strongest possible terms to defend the independence of the university and resist political pressures that are at odds with Harvard's commitment to academic freedom, including calls for the removal of President Gay." We have a woman who's grossly incompetent, basically, is what they're saying. She's incompetent, she's clearly a fraud, she's marginalizing calls for genocide on her campus that promise retribution if you refuse to call someone by their preferred pronouns. So that's what we have at Harvard.
None of this surprises me, Rob. Our college campuses and our universities have become less and less about higher learning and more about grooming and woke training. It's appalling what's happening. The fact that all of these presidents are failing to condemn these mass protests that are in many cases calling for genocide and for the death of Israel. Now, listen, a lot of people have died fighting for America's freedoms, including our freedom of speech. And a lot of people from around the world have come to America because of our freedoms, including freedom of speech, especially people from the Arab world who don't enjoy those same kinds of rights. But when you start getting into hate speech, now you're treading on dangerous ground. And what's happening across America is dangerous. And it has to stop. And people like these university presidents, whose SNL has no problem making fun of the lawmakers questioning them, but allows their behavior to continue, we're going down a really dangerous path, Rob.
We certainly are. You know, CNN's Fareed Zakaria, I think, shocked a lot of people with his monologue over the weekend, where he slammed how political our university. I mean, this is a guy that's very, very globalist left. If you watch his show, he eviscerated what our colleges and universities have become in this country as they have become so radicalized to the far left. Here's a little bit of that.
We have to understand the broad shift that has taken place at elite universities, which have gone from being centers of excellence to institutions pushing political agendas. American universities have been neglecting a core focus on excellence in order to pursue a variety of agendas, many of them clustered around diversity and inclusion. The pervasive goals are political and social engineering, not academic merit.
Yeah, he talked a lot also about, you know, how merit, when you move away from merit, you end up punishing, you know, bright kids that come from bad places end up getting punished because that's the one way they can stand out is by having killer grades, you know, because they're just smart, and you end up punishing.
They won't get in because they're not the right.
Well, good for him. And the one thing that we see that could be happening here is kind of ironic because we saw the left impose their will on so many colleges and universities and corporations. Do what we say and adopt our you know, ideology or suffer the consequences. And now we have mega millionaires and billionaires threatening colleges and universities saying, well, I'm not going to give you any more money unless you stop this nonsense. And perhaps, you know, hitting them in the pocketbook will actually work.
Yeah, it's something else. I think what we see here is, and you know, Dennis Prager talks about this all the time. You know, the difference between leftists and liberals, and you're seeing that right now. The big pushback to what we're seeing on these campuses. These are classic liberals that are saying, no, this is not what we signed up for. This is the radical left. This is a whole other. This is a monster.
It's a memorial. That's going to be for you.
And they don't like it. Rick Leventhal, good to see you. Thank you.
That's maybe your party.